Peace, peace, peace. We trying to get into it right now. We've been getting a bad signal, so y'all gotta let me know what's going on. Y'all gotta let me know if it's sounding good, if it's coming in good at all. Okay, good, good. It seems like the people is getting in right now. So now we about to have Elijah Farrakhan come in, and hopefully the signal is good.
Am I echoing?
Alright, testing 1, 2, 3, people, how we feel?
Am I echoing?
Let's see. They said we good. I can hear echo on my end, but the people don't hear it. I'll live with it.
Echo still. Damn. I wonder what
so is it good? Is it good? Y'all let me know. We're about to go ahead and go. Man, it's so much on the mind. It's so much on the first time where I got so much on my mind. It's hard for me to truly break it down. They say headphones. Let me see how that works.
From the volume.
Don't laugh at the headphones.
They said try to turn down your volume. See if that helps.
Rubber I gotta do.
They said try to turn down your volume.
Let me see. Did that work? Nah, it ain't no wind where I'm at. Yeah, that echo bad. I don't like that. He about to try it. Look, we trying to get it in for the people. I am on the rooftop, but I was in the hallway, so it wasn't no echo. All right. Testing 1, 2, 3. If anybody ever been in the studio when you can hear yourself echoing, that's kind of like the worst way to record. Due to bad connection. But for those that can't hear, and those that are better with these headphones, I don't hear any echo on my end, so I think we can go ahead and get started. Yes, sir, I can hear you clear, man. Everything sounded good right now.
I can't see my face with my camera turned off, man.
What I do is I click the home button and bring it back, and it usually does the trick.
You said do what?
Click the home button and then bring the app back, refresh the app.
Okay.
On your iPhone. But they saying there's no echo, man. People, man. We'll probably bring them back in a second. But you know, what I wanted to get across and what I wanted to speak to the people about was a few different things. The archetype of the individual and the curse of karma and the paralyzation of fear and how to overcome that through confidence. All right, we got to get brother back. I still hear me. They don't want to give us a perfect live.
Okay, am I good?
Yeah, you good.
Okay.
I can just hear myself. It's just annoying as hell.
You can still hear?
I can hear myself every time I talk. There's an echo.
I can't hear a damn thing.
People hear it as well.
I'm echoing too?
Nah, you sound good. At least in my headphones.
Yo.
How about now? Y'all sound good? I don't hear no echo.
You know what? I'm
I think it's good. I think it's good. I hear it now.
This is terrible.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it is.
You know what? Let me try it through my phone. That's what I'm gonna do.
Alright. You gonna have to cut this off and then do it on your phone because they both on. It's like an echo as well.
Alright, one last time.
Alright. So blessings to everybody, man. There's a lot of energy going on, man. There's a lot of good, a lot of bad energy in the air, man. There's just a lot of energy that needs to be transmuted into the right direction. Because I feel it in my gut right now as far as what's going on. They said the door is creepy, man. That's just the outside, and I got it propped open. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. You know, I can definitely feel the energy in the air of what's going on in the climate right now. You know, and in this time, I like to speak truthfully, man. I like to speak just what I believe and what I know is solution-based oriented to where we can get to this next phase of evolution as a people and enlightenment as a people to where we can get out this darkness that we've been in for a long time. Ignorance is passed down, man. Ignorance is passed down like the curse of karma. And when we perpetuate the continuation of systems that are not successful for us, then it becomes karma to the next generation. I ponder this idea called the diamond generation. The diamond generation is that we stop being born broke. We stop being born trying to figure out how to become diamonds. And the one people that we see shining is the people that we raise up and the people that we celebrate. Instead, I believe that all of our children and our grandchildren should be born already diamonds to where all they got to do is shave and polish themselves, but they already are born with value. They already born with the valuables of life. But each one of us as a generation has to continuously start over with zero all the way from the bottom. And I believe that that's unfair and that each generation has the ability to create a better one. But if we don't reconstruct what's currently here, then all they are left is the karma of this unsettled debt and our failure. And our inability to see that is what's wrong. And when you try to go about figuring out how to completely create a new paradigm, a new way of thinking to destroy these energies that's considered to be, we consider to be prosperous, or we consider to be good or great, or that we give any energy to, man. Most of the people that's in associations or organizations and things of that nature have so many things that need to be scrutinized and objectively looked at so that something better can take its place. But inside these organizations, inside these communities, there are people who win inside these. It's kind of like being the preacher and the deacon, because the church, in the way that it's set up, the preacher and the deacon is able to win. The preacher and the deacon is able to thrive and become rich off the church system. And that church system represents an entity. That church system represents a corporation. That church system represents an organization. But even though it may be failing for the congregation, there are still people who benefit from it, which means that they will want it to continue to exist and continue to be perpetuated. So if there's anybody who come against that system, then that person will be ostracized and attacked, not only by the people who not truly benefit from it, but also by the deacon and the preacher, those who dominate the paradigm and that structure and that order. And my bruh, Rich, my good brother Rich, man, I do the videos where he had called me because he was disheartened by my video I made about the conscious community. And in the title, I said, I want the conscious community to die, but I also said in a video that I didn't mean it in a literal sense. I mean it in the sense that it needs to be a rebirth and a graduation to what's currently here and what's currently held as the community stands. Because a community is a group of people working together, but we don't work together. So it's not a community, it's more like a hood. And that hood is separated by different people who are separated by ideologies, who are separated by religion, who are separated by words and language, and all different other contexts. And when I went to the Sonetta TV Awards, which is a beautiful idea, and I believe that the influences of the conscious community or just conscious leaders, men and women that's been doing it or that's coming up, do need to be celebrated. But at the same time, when you have a house and you have a building with all of the black brain power in the world in there, and you start to observe, really think about it in the midst of celebrating what's going on, at the same time you think like, damn, this is dope what Sonetta did. He brought all of these people from backgrounds that they had debates and tiffed and threatened each other and wanted to assault each other, but he brought them together. And then it's like, man, wait a minute. What we trying to do as paradigm shift is really get these people in this goddamn building to work together, because that will represent a new paradigm. Because then they will take all that collective energy, then they will build something and manifest it fast, because some of these people in here are complete geniuses. But we separated by man's ambition, ego, and want to have power within this paradigm. And so I voice mine on what I believe is right and what I believe is wrong. And in the midst of that, even though it's something that I love to see, I still have to be objective. And even though it's something that I believe I was able to benefit from in the sense that I was there, I got shout outs on the stage. There was love. My brother Ben got awards. My good brother Dr. Wesley got an award. Minister Farrakhan got an award. But I think that too often we are silent when we have objectivity to something that can't be approved. And they say the devil is in the detail. So when you look at the big picture, yeah, everything looks beautiful. But when you think about the details that make up this big picture, then you find that there's disaster in the midst. And that thought can be depressive, because you are giving energy to trying to build something when all of the builders and the people who have the tools and the resources are there in that building together already. And I can imagine having an enemy outside thinking like, oh, we're not worried about them. They're not going to come together. Yeah, they got the power. You're right. All the brain power in there. All of the power is in there. But don't worry. Don't worry, Bob. Don't worry, Steve. They're not going to come together. And so for me, I've seen this happen before. I've seen in Oakland, California, where different men had organizations in a city where they had a complete power hold to where even the cops were scared to mess with them. To where they would go hood to hood and have complete control over the city, to where instead of calling the cops, sisters and brothers would call the black guys. $1 million organization with security firms and bakeries and schools, nurseries, EM health services. But there was separation. And the people that I seen some of these black guys beef with were other black men in different organizations that really parallel what they was trying to do, but separated by the ego of the men who led the organizations. And then I seen these organizations fall, and I seen them fail when they had the complete infrastructure to usher in a new paradigm in a new time. So this is sad. I've seen it happen over and over, growing up from a young boy. So when I see something, I'm not happy over the little things that happen, the little progresses that we make. That doesn't make me happy because I know what will happen in the long run. I know what the future of this will be. I've seen this pattern before. This is a paradigm paralysis in the inability to take on the new way of thinking and the new way of doing. And that's why I put the emphasis on the black women. And that's
that's why I put the emphasis on working with women, because one thing that these organizations didn't have built into their structure was the right quality of appreciation for women and working side by side with them. And that's why the ego was so much there. And that's why the structure set in. And then the karma of that is what we living in today. This paradigm, what we living in. And the Indians, in India, they call that sanskara. It's an impression. It's what's been left. It's the energy that we living in today. It's that slave mentality and thinking. And in every organization and in every person, we all have to take an objective look at ourselves. Even when we being successful, we can say, wow, there's still things I need to work on myself. But people don't want you to speak like this. People want you to be happy and passive and go along with the good instead of creating a full outline and detail and a plan that's more operative for the future that our children and our children's children can win off of. So there's a sacrifice from the individual archetype of success for the collective unity, and that's the only success that matters. One brother in the building doing good means nothing. That's not even success unless everybody in that building doing good. I'm not successful unless my parents, my brothers, my sisters, my friends, everybody I know is successful. That's the only definition of success that matters, is the collective. But we stuck in this operation of the individual. We stuck in this operation of selfishness. And we have an inability to move forward. And the youth are 100% important. Because, you know, when J. Edgar Hoover wrote about the Black Messiah, he said that he wasn't afraid of Honorable Elijah Muhammad because Honorable Elijah Muhammad was at his age, an older age. He was afraid of the younger cats. He was afraid of the young Martin and Luther and the other brother because he knew that they had more time to live, that they represented the future. So ain't nobody afraid of the young, the old cats. Ain't nobody afraid of them because they stuck in their ways. You see what they go through. They predictable. But these young people, they can learn something new. And they are a threat to the paradigm. And I bring this up about this Greek pedigree because in this Greek pedigree, what they did was they neutered the young boys so that they wouldn't be a threat to the current paradigm that the old men had set up, which means that they were going to be a threat to the power system that the old men had set up. So what they did to these young boys is they had, in order for the young boys to have access to the older Greek man's knowledge, what they did was they practiced pedestry to where they had the young boys bend over and they sodomized them so they took away their inability to become a threat. And then after that, they mentored them. That's where the word mentor came from. They mentored them and then gave them the information of the paradigm, the knowledge of the current paradigm. So when they grew older, all they would do is keep the current paradigm in place and repeat the same cycle so they can keep that same pattern persistent all throughout time. And some of us in the Black community, people in the Chinese, people in all communities have took on this same castration process, this same psychological sodomization of the young. And that's the reason why the young and the older generations don't get along. And until that cycle is broken, then it ain't gonna be no winning. So this ain't about the young versus the old. This is about the older generation helping the younger generation helping the older generation to build something new. Because we can't continue none of the shit that we got right now because none of it is successful. None of it is successful. So why would we want to continue something that's not successful? So when I talk about the conscious community, that's a very generalized statement. And there is no one person that represents this community. And I'm not married to a word. A word to me only has as much meaning as the collective gives to the word and the energy of that word. So if you want a new energy and a refreshing and a reconstruction, then you create a new language, which represents a new paradigm and a new pattern of thinking and a new way of doing, a new mind. So we change the language. There has to be a graduation, a continuation. And those who benefited from the current paradigm will be mad at that, even though some of their work may be against it. But they understand that how they fit in there and what's their power within it. So when you break these things down in the way I see reality and the way other people see reality, you may be thinking I'm doing something from a place of malice or ill intent. But no, you have to be strategic and militant in the way you do things. You have to first gather the attention, and when you have the attention, that's when you can change the mind and transmute that energy into enlightenment. See, each one of us is an organization, and how we manage ourselves will depend upon our success. And not everybody wants to. This energy of this moon eclipse shit, this energy of the sacrifice of that young black girl that was killed on that BART train, that's another level, man. During this time, you gotta understand these devils do sacrifices. And then our energy starts to pit and turn at each other. Because of fear, because the real enemy is outward, but you're scared to fight the real enemy. So therefore, instead you take that energy and you pit it at your brother. But we ain't gonna allow this to happen no more. And truth has to be spoken regardless of the condition, regardless of who's with or who's against. And one thing I won't let is the confidence of my voice be silenced because of someone else's ability to win in the current paradigm. Regardless who winning in it. My brother Elijah keep popping up and leaving on me. So, deleting the generational curse is very important. And also, when you think about the collective, and when you think about the community, and when you think about the unity of the people, then when one person doesn't reach up to the definition of perfection, it doesn't matter. See, the problem with having leaders is that you want that leader to be perfect. And if that leader isn't perfect, then what person or people would do would try to expose that leader. And then if that leader is exposed, meaning that you're getting a different picture of what you thought was, then it is deleting all that information and knowledge that that leader gave you. And then it gives an excuse for all those who are getting the truth to no longer follow it. But the collective deletes that problem because it's no longer dependent upon one individual. So I think about this is a tactical psychological solution to the problem, and it has to be infiltrated in that manner because you got these young rappers and shit out here to where they trolling the hell out the world and they controlling the world at the same time. They confidence trolling. And it becomes a conduit for them to take whatever energy that they want to sell to the people and win with it. That's why a young boy like Takeshi can continue to have billboards because he just takes that energy and he transmutes it from the people, in front of the people, and he uses that collective energy. So when you see the shifters and the young guys taking the energy and saying, you know what, this is what we gonna do with it. We gonna shift the paradigm. We gonna take the tactical energy of getting the attention of the people the same way when Farrakhan wanted to do the Million Man March. The news media thought that they could kill the march by putting out negative news about the march. But what ended up happening is Farrakhan was able to still use that energy towards the benefit of creating awareness to what he wanted to do. And that's why almost 2 million men or 2 million or however showed up. And then after that, they wanted to ban him from news media outlets because they realized that as long as the God is getting attention and that awareness is being brought to righteousness and being brought to truth and solutions, then that's what will win and that's what will dominate the paradigm. So they stopped giving the attention and he was banned for a long time. But social media came along and it created the independent outlet. It created the collective outlet. Then, therefore, they couldn't ban the man because the people were behind it. The people had spoken. And it created a new paradigm. Then it popularized consciousness again. Now, not only it popularized it, but it also capitalizes off consciousness as well. The fact that we even speaking on this, they are capitalizing off consciousness. We speaking on this platform. It's not my platform, but y'all listening to me speak right now. So the young guys say, wait a minute. Some people, I put out the little clip about from the shifters, and someone said, okay, I see y'all just trying to sell something. So here's a man that's on a white man's platform, mad at the black man for using it and wanting to make money and benefit from the work that's being put in. I think we backwards as hell, and I don't think we really thinking. Because you should want the righteous to be rich. But the problem is that people want you to slave for them, but they don't want to work for themselves. People don't want to invest in their education and in their enlightenment. I'm outside, y'all, so bear with me. And so, of course, they mad at you for doing anything that makes sense so that you can continue to do for the people. Because how else could brothers travel? How else could brothers make content? How else could brothers have resources to continue to reach more people? Because the white man or Jewish or whoever, what they do is they put resources behind the people that they want to influence the masses. But if the people don't put resources behind the people that they want to influence the masses, then how can you change the frequency, the dominant frequency in the paradigm of what's happening? So now that my brother Farrakhan is on here, and what I want to get to is what happens when you see Black death is a paralyzation of fear and helplessness and the belief and thought process of the inability to be able to do something. And what is able to mobilize you from that frozen state of fear, for one, is confidence. But confidence comes from many different sources. And one of them is through fitness, one of them is through training. And what my brother Elijah Farrakhan is a certified guide in the securing and the protective order and in the arts, which is not only built into the physical capability, warriors away a little bit.
Am I clear?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
You can hear me? You know, as you was talking, one thing came to my mind, and it was a part that's in the Bible, where it talks about the Son of Man who would prophesy unto the dry bones, and the dry bones would shake, but they would not come together. And the Son of Man went back to the God and said, these bones are not coming together. God told him to prophesy unto the winds. And the Minister Farrakhan says that the winds represent the chastisement of God, right? And he said that some of us, very few of us, will be made better by listening to preaching in the word. He said, but all will be made better by the whipping of the winds. So when you was talking about us in these situations with these sisters, the situations with the police officers murdering and murdering and murdering, they said since Mike Brown was killed, over 3,000 other black men have been killed by
Facts.
cops. In every 28 hours, a black man's killed by the police. And it made me to think about this. And I was just saying this to you, when we was reading or talking about that COINTELPRO and under J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI files and CIA, how they was talking about, they was looking to prevent the rise of this black messiah that would unify and electrify the masses of black people. Well, in the Bible where it says that, you know, he had to prophesy unto the winds, and after the winds, they stood up an exceedingly great army after the whipping of the winds, right? When you say army, you're talking about a structured body of people that hear, obey, carry out orders, have tactics, have defense, have maneuvers, go behind enemy lines. So we may be scared of that kind of conversation. At the same time, this world and the society is beating us into the mindset that, damn, we need to come together and structure something as a people that we can defend ourselves, that we can withstand this, because we just getting wiped up left and right. Our women, our children shot down, the women raped. You see, so if we don't take this into our own hands and unify and come together under one principle, man, it don't matter whether you're black, it don't matter whether or let me say this, it don't matter whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Jewish, whether you're whatever you are. When you got that black skin on you and you get pulled over or you go to get a job, whatever it is, you still gonna feel it. And we gotta stop hiding and acting like this is not the real world that we was born in. And we have to come together. That's the bottom line. So when you were speaking about it, I kept thinking about, damn, you know, we have to come together as a unit. That's what's hitting me in my mind.
You know, what you said about the police deaths is so right and so real. Mike Brown wasn't a regular killer. Mike Brown represented a new paradigm. Mike Brown represented the paradigm of black bodies. And at that same year, what happened was in Africa, you had the biggest Ebola break of 13 to 15,000 Africans so-called getting Ebola. Black bodies getting disease and dying. And at that time, the Washington Post, because they realized that the FBI weren't even tracking police murders until Mike Brown. They able to track everything else, but they weren't tracking police murders. So when they did that and they checked that year, and they found that the number was almost at 1,000, they didn't even know whether that number was good or bad as far as decreasing or increasing, because they didn't have a reference, because there was no numbers to look at. Now, when I talk about changing the frequency and the dominant frequency wins, I like to look at the arithmetic of what that actually means. So at the same time, police deaths went down from then, because they was able to change their paradigm, because we got so fearful that people stopped killing police. And then they actually had another 100 to 2,000 police actually added to the force. So when I think about shifting the paradigm, I say, damn, I believe that we should do all of these things more frequently in order to change what's currently happening. So in 2017, there was about 1,000 police murders occurred. That makes the frequency of police killings 2.7 hertz a day. The Washington Post has started tracking police deaths because the FBI don't really do that. So in 2014, it was the black bodies at the Mike Brown incident shifted the paradigm. The amount of police deaths in 2017 was 128. That makes the daily frequency 0.46 hertz. They accredited the frequency of police shootings have been constantly decreasing since 2013. It has been accredited to new gear, funding, training, all sorts of offsets, but they didn't put in the accountability and the factory that police have been murdering more people and also creating fear within the paradigm of black masculinity. Because like Dr. Wesley say, when we see death and we see those black bodies on TV, it effeminizes the state of a man's thinking. It changes his physiology and chemistry. And it makes you more powerless to where you can attach to that feeling and that want of wanting power and having power. So therefore, a lot of men, when you think about retaliation, you think about avenging, or you think about protecting, there's men who are so feminized that they get scared in the literal sense when you hear that. So they start reacting emotionally.
Yes, sir.
Why you talking about this? Why you it hurts them to hear that because they're scared. They're literally scared. They don't have that confidence built in because they don't have the chemical balance of testosterone.
Woo! Teach on that. Teach on that.
So, like my brother.
See, that's heavy.
It's so real.
That's heavy that you say that because, you know, like Dr. Wesley was saying, and all of the chemicals, so all of the estrogen. It's crazy because in How to Eat to Live, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was saying to stay away from soy. And so when he said to stay away from soy, there's this big health boom. He said stay away from kale. So everything that he said for us to stay away from, it's like the enemy made it their duty to promote it as food. And the super health new boom, that's soy producing that estrogen, like so when there is a situation out here, but men have been internally changed into the thinking of women, not even a strong women. I'm not gonna say women. I'm saying they've been demasculinized. That's
females.
I mean, how you gonna ever fight anything? Females.
That's what. See, women is
that's
a
crazy
construct that a female evolves into in her divinity. But see, when you're a male that's feminine, you become a female. The only difference is you don't have a womb to become a woman, because you got to be a womb to become a woman. But there's a lot of males that are boys or masquerading as men but don't fit the construct, so therefore they are females. Not from a biological, natural standpoint, but a psychological and almost a physiological, because the chemistry is imbalanced. So there are certain thoughts that certain men can't even, or males can't even have, unless you have the balance of testosterone.
Man.
The same way Mr. Farrakhan said, we got this godly potential, but if we don't eat right, we can't even access certain thoughts. So as men, if we don't eat right and we doing things that's detriment to the construct of manhood, then you can't even think like a man. And this shit is in everything. It's in the water. It's in the weed, the liquor, the food. It's in the environment, the air, the chemtrails. It's in our visual from the media, entertainment?
I was doing some studying, and it was talking about how Hitler used to sedate the Jews. And when I found out what he was using to sedate the Jews and the Holocaust, it blew my mind, which they said that he was using fluoride. They said he would use fluoride to sedate the Jews. Now, if you sedated, then you in a trance-like, unaware, unconscious state. So when it goes to the fluoridation of the American water supply, see, that was intentional for them to poison us and put fluoride in everything, in our toothpaste, in deodorant, and all of that. And then it said that fluoride, once it gets into your body, it goes directly to your pineal gland. See, yes, goes directly
Hey, these
to
is
your
my
pineal
notes. I ain't
gland.
even got no internet. These are just my notes, brother. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You see what I'm saying? So, and the beautiful thing about that is it's called the seat to the soul. And so, man, I'm glad that you pulled that up, Chief, because the beautiful thing about it is when you look at that pineal gland cut in half, and it makes that eye of Ra or eye of Horus or whatever it is, them ancient Egyptian brothers and gods, they was not worshiping the sun. They was uplifting the potential. They was uplifting the potential that's locked away in the human's mind. And in the infinity of the human's mind. So I was just having a conversation earlier today, how I was talking about how God walks on water, or Jesus walked on water. Then it says that God's throne is on water, but the brain is sitting on water, and that's the function area of God, because we made in his image. Man, I said, God damn, but the thing about it is, if that third eye is what gives super ability, freeze that, they calcify. Oh man. He said, but the how to eat, bro, the how to eat to live that Dr. Wesley was talking about, how in us and in all foods there's biophotons. In every living organism there's biophotons, which are actually particles of light. That's light. Man, if you look up biophotons, it's going to talk about light. But hey, the beautiful thing about that, bro, when I was checking that out, he blew me away when he was talking about that. But the beautiful thing about it, the minister said that Allah created himself out of triple darkness, right? So he also said that Allah was the darkness but became the light, right? So if the biophotons is all in our body and there's particles of light, and they said it's even used for communication, but those particles of light are all in our body. When it says that we come from the supreme being, and he made us in his image and after his likeness, that he is of the light and his word is the light, and he is light. But in our body, they said that we're beings of light. And you look up them biophotons, which is light all through the body. Bro, did you hear when he's, oh man, this brother, oh my God, he blew my mind, man.
You know,
he blew my mind with that piece.
It says that biophotons from the Greek word bio, meaning life, and I can't read these other words, meaning light. And photons are light in ultraviolet and visible range that are produced in a biological system. All living cells of plants, animals, and human beings emit light which cannot be seen by the naked eye, but can be measured by special equipment. German biophysicist Dr. Fritz Albert Popp advanced the theory that it is light in the form of biophotons that direct the cellular communication that sustains life. We are still on the threshold of fully understanding the complex relationship between light and life, but we can now say that the function of our entire metabolism is dependent on light. Every cell in our body has its own light emission. These light impulses are called biophotons. Biophotons are used by the body for communication between the cells. They carry messages that enable the receiving cells to carry out their function and send out further information. You know what I'm saying, brother? Now, what most people don't know is that the brain is 90% water. Our bodies are 70 to 90% water. So water is actually, the way water gets its energy is through light. Now, there's a fourth phase of water that changed the construct of water from H2O to, I believe it's H3O, which most people don't know about. But this is the reason that your capillaries and your blood vessels have the stream of energy, and the reason why you need to be in the sun, because we are actually powered by ultraviolet light, which means that we can be powered by the people around us to have our blood flowing even better. And it also said that when they measure a person when a person is about to die, they emit more light because the body is trying to heal itself, meaning that light itself is trying to restore the cells in the body to continue life for the person. And so when you think about, and I talked about this in my first visit to New York, when I had my first meeting, and I was talking about energy assets and things that we need to understand on the quantum level to keep our cells in the right manner, as far as being able to take care of ourselves, being around the wrong people who can have negative energy, which can be a liability or an asset to your energy as a human being. Because if a person has low density ultraviolet light that their body is emitting, then they do nothing as far as increasing your energy when you're around them. Some people can take your energy away because you only giving energy to them. They're not giving energy to you. So you can be around energy vampires that take away the energy of the God. And like Dr. Wesley said, that the black guy had his pores, instead of hair follicles, it was light that beamed out that was much stronger, but it was of a blue light. And that blue light, when it mixed with that black, is the reason when you look at the Indian gods, they always represent God as being blue because it represents the black God. So when you understand this, and when you're able to look at history, and you look at paintings, and you look at all of these deities, and you look at Egyptian history and Indian history and all of these different, you see that they've been representing the black God for so long. But not many people can see themselves,
you know what,
because they don't have the knowledge of this science.
Brother, what bugged me out, you know, I've been studying martial arts with the help of Allah, which is you know, a lot more than a physical thing, but been studying it off and on by the grace of Allah for a little while. And I was studying some of the Shaolin Temple, right? And so I'm looking on the walls of the Shaolin Temple in this documentary, and I looked, bro, they had black monks on the wall, but they never showed that in these other documentaries or in the movie. But in the actual Shaolin Temple, they have a black Buddha, and they have a wall full of, the majority of the wall is black monks and dark brown monks. And so, you know, the minister said that, you know, even martial arts, on one of the speeches that I heard, he started showing the hieroglyphics that's in the ancient Egyptian temples, and it's showing the katas and the strikes and the blocks and the fighting together and the different steps and stances. And that's, you see what I'm saying? But they try to take credit for everything that we did. man. They took it all and
Facts.
renamed it,
You
man.
know, there's so much about our history that
Renamed it.
the average person is really not understanding when, especially when it comes to our relationship, even with Asians. And when it comes to black people in America relationship with the international community and how they see us. There was a Black Dragon Society that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad knew. It was supposedly running by Sadakata Takahashi in 1938 to 1942, I believe. They had 5 guiding principles. And the principles of the group were freedom, justice, equality, liberty, and honor. And in 1942, Gordon, President General of the Peace Movement Ethiopia, was jailed along with other religious leaders. In 1942, with the Brotherhood of Liberty for the Black Men of America and the Temple of Islam. It also included members of the Worldwide Friends of Africa. They said that the Ethiopian peace movement in Ethiopia had 4 million followers, and they were taught that they were the citizens of Liberia, and therefore they are not subject to selective service, so therefore they was charged with sedition. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up because this organization was supposedly funded by the Black Dragon Society, the Japanese, that believed that they said that they agreed with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teaching on who the black man was. But see, when we forget history like this, then we feel like we have no allies in the world. We feel like we're not a part of the United Nations, and if you have no allies, then you can't go to war, for one. Then you feel helpless inside a nation where you're surrounded by your oppressors as the owners of everything that's around you. But if you understood that you had allies and that that relationship was supposed to continue into current day instead of what we living in this paradigm, then you would understand that all around the world that you have allies. And then you start to create trade, import, and export. And then when it's time for you to think about human rights and things of that nature, then you have somebody who can assist in your ability to move forward in establishing your home.
That's the beautiful thing, man, that that reminds me of is the study guide. And the study guide, self-improvement, the basis for community development. I think I thank Allah, bro, because just reading a little bit of it at a time and try to understand that just that title alone, self-improvement is the base.
Self-improvement is the basis for community development. I don't know what this. Hold on, this thing just cut out.
Yeah,
Can you hear me
clearly? I can't hear you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. So I was saying, I was listening to something from, or reading something from L. Ron Hubbard, right? L. Ron Hubbard, he was talking about, and before I get to what L. Ron Hubbard said, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that our eating has a direct connection with our thinking. And so if you can't eat the best, you're not going to think the best. So L. Ron Hubbard, in his studies and research, said that he noticed people would get to a certain spiritual level and they would hit a ceiling. And they could not go above this specific ceiling. And he found in his studies it was because the body had got so much toxins built up in it and so much poisons built up in it that it didn't allow the person to reach certain multi-dimensional levels that the human being is capable of. It wouldn't let them get to them points because of the toxins that had been built up. So Minister Tony, I was speaking with him, and he was talking about the purif that he did, the purification course that they have at the Church of Scientology. And he said when he was in the sauna, I think they had him to do like 5 hours a day in the sauna, running, taking all of these vitamins, taking different levels and levels and levels of niacin to the highest levels of niacin. You build up to it. So it's burning these poisons. But he said one day he came out of the sauna, and when he came out the sauna, he wiped.
Oh, man. Oh, man, we was getting good. I wanted to hear the rest of the story. Happy birthday, Freezy Mama. And when he came out the sauna, something happened where he tapped into his Kundalini, and then the brother had enlightening powers, and the brother could levitate, and all of a sudden, he had a masterful view of life, and he was streaming the thoughts of God. That was the story. He came out that sauna raw, boy. We want to hear the rest, brother.
Hold on. You hear?
What's up?
Trip, boy. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know what they didn't want us on here together. They kicked me out. But when brother came out the sauna and he wiped his face with the towel, he said that the whole towel was purple. And so he had asked, he thought it was sweat, but it was all purple. So he asked what it was. They said this is the dye that's from Kool-Aid, the dye from your sodas, the dye from the stuff that you ate all your life. All of that toxic dye and all of those things stay in you. There's even a woman who worked at in a plastic factory, and when she did the purification and came out and rubbed off her arm, plastic balls the size of her pores all fell out her arm. Because your body is a sponge. So you got to think, when we take our showers and brush our teeth and we use that water. See, most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that they will poison us through the water, but that water is full of fluoride. You see what I'm saying? So I went to this white lady's house. She was a very, very rich white lady. And She had pictures with the president. I went in her house, bro. Her kitchen sink.
Yes,
Can
sir.
you hear me? Her kitchen sink, her shower heads, where she washed her hands, every water outlet in her house had the filtration system over it to get rid of all of the fluoride. She didn't even let it touch her body. She didn't let it touch her body. You see what I'm saying? So if we getting touched by that kind of water on top of eating toxic food, and the thing that I was about to say is, if your body's beat up, it's just like a beat up piece of copper. The electricity can only go through it for so long before it destroys it. The minister said that your body, when your body is too weak to house the spirit that's in you, which is of God, that electrical entity, whatever it is, your body can't hold that. Then that's when you
That
die.
reminds me.
So said he said that that's
Go
he
ahead.
said you have to. He said gravity is pulling you down every day. He said so you have to pick up on something to strengthen yourself to stay above the ground. And I want to just say this. There's no reason that this man being risen up by God would go to the gym at the age of 60 years old. He wasn't doing that for himself. But see, it's a reason, and it's an example for us that
Y'all enjoying the keys tonight, man. If y'all enjoying the dialogue tonight, make sure y'all tap in and support the content, man. Yeah, I mean, hit that cash app one time. Send $1,900. There we go. I can hear you.
I don't know what happened, bro.
Yeah,
Did they
it
cut
was an
you out too?
hour. It was an hour.
Oh, okay.
So what we was talking about, you know, the decalcification of the pineal gland, and also just getting rid of the poisons as they enter the body. Because what you said about most people don't realize that your environment can be poisoned. Your environment and your body being the biggest organ on your body eats, and it takes in things the same way as if you was drinking water. If you have a shower, like you said, your pores open up and you take in everything from that shower. Well, when you in a toxic environment, you literally become your environment. You take in the toxicity of your environment. So whatever is in that air, then you going to absorb. And we know for a fact that we don't really do the due diligence in order to get rid of those toxins out of our body, because all of these diseases are created, and mental illness and disease are created in man's construction. These are not happening in nature.
Yes,
This is
sir.
happening in cities. So the cities themselves are
Man, brother.
killing us, and we don't go into nature enough. And we think the little knowledge and the little things that we do is enough, but it's not. So if you're not going into nature and unplugging, like Mr. Farrakhan said, away from mass machinations is when you can have your most creative thoughts. Because you can't even tap into certain thoughts in the city. all you're doing is hearing man's creation. You're not hearing the hurts of nature. So you're not even going to resonate on a certain frequency, and certain thoughts won't even come into you in that environment. So it says that one thing when you want to stop, when you want to calcify or stop further in calcifying your pineal gland, one of the primary causes of calcification is halides. They say the average person in America, pineal gland is calcified at 7 years old. And halides are chemicals such as fluoride, chlorine, and bromide. So even chlorine is not good for us when we taking our swims and things of that nature in pools. Because you guys literally think that when you're in the pool of chloride, or chlorine rather, then you are taking in all of that within your body. All your pores are absorbing all of that chlorine within your body. And fluoride is the most common in our diets. And also mercury. And I know that if you grew up like some of us, mercury is very detrimental. And a lot of us went to the dentist and got mercury in our teeth and things of that nature. And that's detrimental to take out, because it's also said that mercury is one of the leading causes to autism as well. So,
man, do you know that I was reading this book, and it was saying how, I think it was before 1910, there was no cases of autism. And so I started researching cancers. I started researching disease. And believe it or not, brother, there was no cancers. All of this stuff that is out here now has been a giant influx since the beginning of the 1900s, in 1913 and above. So I was reading about a carrot, brother. They said that a carrot of today, it would take 50 carrots of today to equal the nutritional value of a carrot from before the 50s. One carrot. So that's how far we've been depleted of nutrition, bro. This stuff is sickening when you get to thinking about it, bro. It's sickening, man.
It's crazy. Like when you talk about the vaccines, because when you think about it, you know how many people get those at birth? And all medical vaccines are tainted with mercury. And they have Thermosol. It's a vaccine preservative made of methyl mercury. And it's difficult to get it out the brain once it's in there. And there's also things to avoid, like eating almost fish and bottom feeders such as shrimp and prawns, tuna and dolphin meat, which I don't know who eats dolphin meat, because they have higher doses of mercury in it. Generally speaking, the bigger fish, the higher the concentration of mercury in its body tissue. So some recommend wild Alaskan caught fish, but for the most part, there are so many things to avoid. Even eco light bulbs, when they break and they smash, they got the mercury vapors that's released in the room that's inhaled. And I know you be drinking these. The good news, it says that mercury can be removed from the body over time by uses of chlorella, wheatgrass, and spirulina. Cilantro, herb, and apples eaten daily have been shown to help remove mercury from the brain tissue. Organic, of course. Pesticides.
Let me say this real quick. That and this is just a short thing, but I was having some pains. I was having some pain in my I think it was my kidney or something, because I was taking these pre-workouts, and I think that they started doing damage to my kidney or something. But nonetheless, it was hurting, you know, like every time I would like bend over and stand up, I feel this pinch or whatever. So, and this is true, bro. I started juicing. And as soon as I started juicing, like I would put garlic in there, a little garlic in there, some ginger, some turmeric, celery, wheatgrass, carrots. Man, I'm talking about if you do it organic, you will, my word is bond, you will feel an instant level or degree of life. It's not that your eyes come more open, but you feel this
Yeah,
surge
yeah.
of energy and alertness. You know what I'm talking about?
You feel life in it. The food actually has
Man,
life, energy
you
in it. You're
feel
not
it.
dead. And that's why when a
Mm.
person juices, the body can go into a shock because your body like, whoa, wait a minute. What you eating this good shit for? Where you get this from? Your body like, this is
Man,
like
you
crack
hear?
to me. I ain't never felt this good before. And the food has energy in
Man,
it
so
that it
that
gets
is,
from the sun. So when your body go break it down, that's what you absorbing, and you literally becoming energy in life. So
ooh.
it,
Hey, bro, I, I was listening to the minister and he was talking, and you talk about the light from the sun, right? Oh man, it's so beautiful. So he was saying how when you eat the fruits
all right, we
and the
back.
vegetation, he says they're in, huh? What happened? Did it cut off?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It
It's
was
tripping
messing up,
again.
man. They trying to mess up all of this good stuff.
Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you, but you kind of breaking up.
I don't know what's going on with this, man. It's crazy. My phone will never do this. Am I
Yeah,
clear
we
or?
back good now.
So I was saying, the minister was saying that the food that we eat is in obedience to the law of light because that's how it's nurtured and it's grown off of the water and the law of light. He says, so when you eat the fruit, you're eating the fruit of obedience. And so when he said that we eating the fruit of obedience, it made me to think about how he said everything in nature is in obedience to the law in which they was created except for man.
Mm.
Except man. And that makes me to think about this. While we on this level, because our sisters is being killed, our brothers is being killed, Allah gave everything that he created a way to defend itself. He gave an ant those big jaws to bite. And it got super ant strength. It can take on so many times its strength, right? Its size or its weight. You think about any kind of cat, they got claws. Everything that he made, he gave it some way to defend itself. But he called us his glory he said we are the glory of God. Not a glory. The sun is a glory. The moon is a glory. But he called us the glory of God. And if we are the top and the glory of God, and the reason why he said we the glory, because he puts the sun and the moon in a law to serve us.
Mm.
He put everything here to serve us. But if we the glory of God and we out here robbed of our name, robbed of our religion, robbed of everything, and we're not trying to seek the knowledge, it said that we're destroyed because our lack of knowledge. We destroyed because our lack of knowledge. But the thing is, we getting attacked out here, and how many of us see that it's an important thing for us to learn to defend ourselves? See, I look at it like this real quick, bro. I'm gonna say this real quick. When it says do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. If I start training, training is not just for me.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? If I start training in a way of self-defense, it's not just
Mm.
for me. Because if I see my brother, this thing acting up again. This thing acting up again. It's acting up again.